Good morning and welcome back to The Breakfast Show. It is 9:10 on a Monday morning, and today we're discussing a problem that's plagued Malaysian pedestrians or motorists for decades now: snatch theft or rob and run tactics.
Now, in some instances, it's more than just losing your bag or your belongings. Some cases of snatch theft have caused fatalities, for example. You know, if the person holding onto the bag has been dragged by the motorbike or, of course, through subsequent acts of violence.
So today we're going to tell you about a newly launched Anti-Snatch Theft Campaign and, more importantly, how to protect yourself.
And to help us do that is the chairman of MIC's Social and Welfare Bureau, Dato Ramanan Ramakrishnan. Welcome to the show, Dato, and good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. I guess, first of all, quickly tell us what the campaign is all about and how it's being disseminated to the general public.
Actually, this is a campaign that we started, I think, about a week or so ago. And the main reason we started this campaign actually is to create an awareness, you know, for the public, so that actually they are not victims to things like this and they are able to have the opportunity to take the necessary precautions that need to be taken.
Yes. You know, we all know that this is actually quite rampant here in Kuala Lumpur especially. Do you have any numbers, maybe any statistics as to how often this actually happens?
Actually, this number has been going up, but of late, the cases have been dropping. I don't have the exact figure because it's a very up and down kind of thing. You know, you can't really tell. Sometimes in some districts alone, you have anywhere between 30 and 60 a day.
Wow.
You know, so
is there a particular reason for, you know, this number? I mean, it is quite significant.
Actually, in all honesty, a lot of people, they take it out on the police. You know, I think if they were to follow the proper necessary measures, I think it would be reduced significantly. You know, for example, if you were to carry your handbag on the opposite side where the flow of traffic is, you know, even while we're conducting this program, a lot of women drivers, even men, they keep their bags, handbags, laptop bags, whatever it is, on the passenger seat. You see, so when things like this happen, it's difficult because you're actually inviting this kind of problems, you know. And even nowadays, a lot of people sometimes, especially in office buildings, when they are one floor up and one floor down, they rather not take the lift and they take a staircase. So when you take the staircase, you are also indirectly inviting problems like this. Yeah.
So snatch theft, we're saying, not only occurs on the streets, but also in buildings.
Yeah, of course, yes. In car parks, malls, you know. So we have to be aware of our surroundings, you know, we have to know what's actually going on. And if we can, we need to protect ourselves, you know, from things like this from going on actually.
Being aware is actually the key word, because, you know, it could be as simple as you're walking on the street using your handphone.
Exactly,
and you think you're just, you know, calling a friend and saying, okay, I'm going to meet you at the shop in 10 minutes, not realizing that you also are putting yourself up or you're risking being a victim of snatch theft too.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a correlation between the rise in the cases of snatch theft and maybe, you know, our economic downturn of 2008, 2009?
Actually, a lot of people misinterpret this issue, whereby they think like, look, how much is in my handbag? I have 200-300 ringgit. How much is my handphone? It's 200-300 ringgit. Why do they do this? But you see, for people who are living actually in the outside of KL, the outskirts, for them, 500 ringgit is a big amount of money.
Yes, of course.
They're able to run their household for a month, you know, with 500 ringgit. So therefore, if they're able to have one case a week and you have $300, that's 1,200 ringgit every month, you know, without having to do a job. So it is a large sum of money, you know. It's not about you telling people that, you know, don't carry so much money. You can carry, you know, whatever money you require to carry, but you have to do it, you know, in a careful manner.
You know, if these perpetrators are caught, and it is rather difficult because they usually operate in, you know, in a duo and on a motorcycle, it's quite difficult. But if they are caught, what are the penalties for snatch theft in this country?
You see, right now, of course, there is imprisonment and there is fines and things like that. But of course, we are also pushing for sentencing to be, you know, lengthened a little bit more harsher, But of course, you see, that is something where you have young offenders, you have old offenders. Of course, we're not supposed to categorize the issue, but of course, you need to sometimes think they are young, they are juvenile. So things like this also are weighed out when it comes to the courts as well. So that's something where, you know, it's neither here nor there kind of conversation.
Now, Joe mentioned something very interesting just then, how actually it's very, if caught, extremely difficult to actually, you know, catch them, because I mean we've all been victims of some form of a snatch theft. I remember I had my handphone snatched from me quite some time ago, and we took down the number of the motorcycle, and it happened to be a stolen motorcycle. So hence, how do you you know, how do you prevent? Let's talk about what can we do, you know, coming from a, you know, responsible point of view. What can we do as citizens?
As the general public, of course, like as I've said before, what we can do is like we be more wary of our whereabouts.
Yes.
You know, we need to be more wary of the situation and the surroundings. You know, whenever there's traffic, we always walk against the flow of traffic. You know, don't leave your handbag on the passenger seat when you're driving. You know, do not try not to wear too much jewelry, especially when you're going to not so well lit areas. You know, and of course, if you do have some manners of self-defense, that would be good as well. And of course, nowadays you see people are very flashy. They don't mind whenever they go to an ATM, they always take their money out of the ATM. They walk out of the bank and then start
counting, and then
you know, and putting their money into into their wallets. So this is something which I think are the little steps that we can take. You know.
Now, Dato, you mentioned just then if somebody has some form of a training or exposure to self-defense, it would help. But would that have an adverse effect, especially when it comes to women? Their advice is usually, you know, if anything like that happens, just be thankful that it's your possession, it's your belongings that are taken.
Throw your wallet away.
You see, that's one good way of looking at it. But you see why, I mean, this is on my personal opinion, but of course that would be the best thing to do if you can afford to lose what you're losing. But I mean, there are of course some cases where people go to the bank, they withdraw their entire EPF or whatever it is, which is 80,000, 120,000, 200,000, whatever it is.
Cases like that.
Whereby, you know, a guy just comes and pulls the handbag and he leaves. So if you do have an opportunity and you are able to protect yourself, I wouldn't suggest just handing over your things to be the best thing to do.
And I think that one important thing I think that a lot of people discount is the power of a scream. If you yell, you create attention, which you know then kind of frazzle your attacker.
But I mean, this because we've been working pretty closely with the police as well in this matter. Sometimes agitating, you know, the thief might not be such a good idea because they will react,
retaliate,
you know, and that could cause a lot more damage than already being in this problem, you see.
So I guess the key message here is really, again, prevention and awareness. What are some of the other things that the campaign teaches the public?
Okay, the other thing that the campaign also teaches the public is, like for example, if you were to go to a shopping mall, you know, daily you would go to a shopping mall, so you will know, you know, in the shopping malls, which are what are the densely populated areas and what are the quiet areas. So try to be around the public, you know. There's always some form or another whereby, you know, instead, like for example, instead of taking the staircase, take the lift, because a lot of snatch thefts happen today while you are walking down the staircase because it is not well lit. There is not much presence of people. Maybe a lot of people say that, yeah, there are a lot of bystanders, but the bystanders don't actually take any effort or put in any help to actually apprehend these people. But I would say that being in a densely populated area would reduce your chances of being robbed. The other thing, I mean, this is something which is not very fair, but you know, you should not wear too much jewelry, you know, because you would be highlighting yourself to these snatch thieves, you see. Of course, the other thing that we also have is that, you see, normally these snatch thieves, if, for example, you're walking around an area in Bangsa or something like that, you know, traffic's always going one flow. You have an option on either side of the road you're walking on. So if you're carrying your handbag and you're walking on your right-hand side and traffic's coming from your right, so then you would obviously want to carry your handbag on your left, because it would be much more difficult for them to want to have you as a target, you see.
Okay, so far to disseminate more information, to create more awareness about this campaign, you've done several on-ground events, activities. There was some footage earlier we showing of handing out of brochures at toll booths. Other than that, what else?
You see, actually, we are planning on making this a long-term campaign. Right now, we've done this in the toll booths. Why we've done this in the toll booths? Because that's where the flow of traffic is heavy. We can get the maximum impact, the maximum awareness to be created. We've done it in 8 states, actually. I think Perak, Kedah, Penang, JB, KL, Selangor and Melaka. So what we're planning on doing is, after we've done this, is we're going to work together with police, a lot of law enforcement, whatever they can input on it, and we're going to set up small booths, you know, around shopping malls, around areas. But as I said, it's a long-term thing. So we need to see what's the response from the public as well, and we need to see whether it's actually still rising.
How's the response been so far? I'd like to know.
It's been very good, actually, if you ask me, because I mean, I wouldn't say this is the main reason, because we have to give a lot of credit to the police as well for their part of increasing patrol and whatnot. But there has been a slight drop. You know, of course, they have been taking up a lot of these cases on the mud rampades, and they've been checking a lot of pillion riders and everything like that. But I think they have been doing a fantastic job so far. So I think if we work a little bit more hand in hand with them, we will really be able to curb this issue.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dato. It was great having you on the show. Thank you for sharing that with us. Of course, if you'd like to know more, look out for it. It looks like a little lime green brochure, which should be available in an area near you.
Exactly, and it's full of all the the do's and the don'ts. What you can do actually to protect yourself from falling as a victim to snatch theft.
Yeah, and of course, one tip was, of course, to take a self-defense class, and that just proves how important self-defense classes are in this day and age. But make sure you size up your attacker before you decide to fight him off.
Exactly. Anyway, speaking of sticking up for yourself,
after the break, we bring you 5